Attention passionate Washington Commanders fans. Latest news, something big is happening in the NFC East and it could change the game. We're talking about a direct impact on Washington Commanders' path to another Super Bowl run, a power shift that could leave a division rival stumbling for years. We're bringing this to you firsthand. But before that, if you're a true Washington Commanders fan, subscribe to the channel to strengthen this passion even more. Show that you're also part of this family. Let's help each other reach 1,000 subscribers. Share with YOUR, FRIENDS and Washington, Commanders FANS. Let's get to the news. There's a growing buzz around the NFL right now, and it's centered on a potential blockbuster move that could shake up the NFC East and give the Washington Commanders a serious boost in their quest to return to the Super Bowl. Rumors are swirling that the New York Giants, currently sitting at 2-8 and facing a tough rebuild, might be willing to part ways with one of their most talented defensive stars, Brian Burns. Now, I know what you're thinking, Burns isn't a Giant, right? Well, that's part of the intrigue. The speculation suggests the Giants could be exploring a trade involving Burns for their future first-round pick in 2026, signaling that they're prioritizing a full rebuild and freeing up cap space to focus on their long-term plans, especially with the looming extension for Daniel Jones eating up a hefty chunk of their salary cap. The Giants are in a bit of a salary cap crunch, with about $9 million in cap space and a roster that's been banged up and inconsistent all season. They're allocating a lot of resources to Jones, with an extension that could total around $230 million, which is a massive commitment. To make room for that, they're looking to move some assets and cut costs. Meanwhile, their defense, especially their pass rush, has been underwhelming, with the Giants letting opposing quarterbacks go for big plays and racking up sacks at a rate that's just not good enough. They've surrendered 35 sacks so far this season, and that's a problem, especially given their schedule and division rivalries. Now, here's where it gets interesting for Washington. The Commanders, sitting at 3-7, are painfully aware that their defense needs a serious upgrade if they want to contend in the NFC East and make a real push towards the postseason. Their front seven has been good at times, but they've lacked that consistent presence on the edge who can turn games around with game-changing plays. Brian Burns, with his Pro Bowl talent and ability to disrupt plays, fits that bill perfectly. If the Commanders could land him, it wouldn't just be a rental. It could be a game-changer for their defense moving forward. Burns, after all, has been a force in the league, especially in 2022 when he racked up an impressive 16 sacks, and his ability to get after the quarterback would give Washington an elite pass rush that the NFC East defenses would have to prepare for every single week. Let's talk about what Burns could bring to the table, especially in the context of the Commanders' current situation. His stats for the 2023 season are quite solid, though not as eye-popping as last year. He's managed to record several tackles for loss and a handful of sacks, and he's still a dominant force when healthy. His career numbers show 50 sacks and over 300 tackles, making him one of the most consistent pass rushers in the league, and with a career PFF grade of around 88. He's proven to be a top-tier player who can elevate any defense he's on. His versatility on the edge allows him to line up both inside and outside, giving defensive coordinator Jack Del Rio plenty of options to create mismatches and generate pressure. From Washington's perspective, acquiring Burns would mean significantly increasing their sack total, projected to rise by around 14 sacks, which would be a massive boost considering their current pressure rate. They've been hovering around a 28% pressure rate this season, but with Burns, that number could jump to close to 49%. That kind of pressure on opposing quarterbacks often leads to turnovers, more sacks, and disrupted offensive rhythm. For the Commanders, that's exactly what they need to turn their defense into a true strength. Opposing offenses would have a much tougher time moving the ball, especially in the division where the aerial attack of teams like the Eagles and Cowboys demands consistent pressure to contain their talented quarterbacks. And speaking of the Eagles, Burns would be a perfect fit in Washington's scheme, especially when you consider the potential playoff implications. Imagine him rushing the passer, forcing hurried throws, and creating turnovers that could swing games in Washington's favor. The impact on their defensive efficiency would be immediate and significant, transforming what has been a decent unit into a fearsome one. That's the kind of addition that can make a difference in close games, and in the playoffs, it's often those game-changing plays that decide who advances and who goes home. Now, let's not forget the ripple effect. If Washington manages to land Burns, it could shift the balance of power within the NFC East. The Cowboys and Eagles have been dominant forces this season, but adding a player of Burns' caliber would give the Commanders a real shot at closing the gap and maybe even overtaking them in the division. It's all about building that dominant front to challenge the best quarterbacks and make life miserable for offenses. With Burns on the edge, the Commanders would have a true game wrecker, someone who can flip the script in critical moments. Of course, the trade talks are still just that, talks. Nothing's official yet, but the potential is tantalizing. The Giants are clearly prioritizing cap space and future assets, and the Commanders have the draft capital and need for an elite pass rusher. A move like this wouldn't just be about one season. It's about setting up Washington for sustained success. It's about creating a defense that can contend for a Super Bowl in the coming years, not just right now. And let's be honest, in the NFL, adding a player like Brian Burns isn't just about boosting your pass rush. It's about sending a message to the entire league that Washington is serious about competing at the highest level. It's about building a defense that strikes fear into opponents and helps the offense take advantage of more opportunities. When you have a dominant edge rusher who can consistently get after the quarterback, it makes everyone's job easier, DBs, linebackers, and the entire team. That's the kind of impact Burns could bring to Washington, transforming them into a defense that opponents fear every time they step onto the field. Now, looking ahead, the Commanders are at a crossroads. They've shown flashes of brilliance this season, but consistency has been an issue. They've battled injuries, especially on the secondary with guys like Cameron Curl and their cornerbacks, which has made it tough to maintain a high level of play. But acquiring a player like Burns could be the catalyst for a turnaround. He's not just a rental. He's a franchise-defining talent that could anchor Washington's pass rush for years to come. And with the team's cap space and draft assets, it's not out of the realm of possibility. The NFC East remains one of the most competitive divisions in the NFL, with the Eagles and Cowboys setting a high bar. But if Washington can make a bold move, like acquiring Burns, they could not only climb back into the division race, but also position themselves as legitimate contenders for the Super Bowl. It's about building a defense that can carry the team when the offense struggles, and right now, that's exactly what they're missing. So fans, keep your eyes peeled because these rumors are heating up. Whether or not it materializes, it's clear that the Commanders are looking to make moves that will shape their future. The potential acquisition of Brian Burns would be a statement, an indication that Washington is serious about competing at the highest level and making their mark in this NFC East rivalry. The next few weeks will be critical as trade talks develop, and if this deal goes through, it could very well be the move that defines Washington's playoff push and future Super Bowl ambitions. Pause here just for a second. If you want the YouTube algorithm to keep recommending the latest Washington Commanders news to you, it's super important that you leave a like on this video. Go ahead, it's quick and it makes a big difference. Thank you. Now let us continue with the big reveal. And now, Washington Commanders fans, I want to hear from you. What's your take on this potential move? Do you think acquiring Brian Burns is the missing piece to make a serious Super Bowl push? Would you be excited to see him in the burgundy and gold, wreaking havoc on the NFC East quarterbacks? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Your opinion really matters to us and to the future of this team. And don't forget, I'll be back soon with more updates, so stay tuned for the latest Washington Commanders news. The NFL season is heating up and big things are on the horizon. Let's keep the passion alive and continue supporting our team through thick and thin. This could be the start of something special, and with the right moves, Washington could be back in the conversation for NFL supremacy. Stay tuned, Commanders fans, big things are coming.